exists a vast lack of professionals to fill this need. Engineering includes very different areas. The attractivity and the profile of students of each one are very different. Electrical engineering is currently one of the least wanted by students. In result, there is a lack of professionals in this area, and this is a problem that affects Portugal, but also many other countries. That's why we consider that it is very important to know the key motivators that push students towards a certain engineering areas or push them away. These key motivators are important to improve attractivity and can offer insights for those courses with reduced demand, like these electrical engineering courses. The research question of this study is: what are the actions implemented by higher education institutions for captivating and maintaining students in engineering programs, and the results and outcomes of these actions? We choose a systematic review of literature according to the PRISMA guidelines and using a PICO framework. This paper is a work in progress, so we don't have the final results yet. But engineering is part of the STEAM area, so this study includes the STEAM area as a whole. Some results we already have are: in elementary school, the majority of students like the STEAM area. But when they change to middle school, many students begin to dislike STEAM area. And when they change school level, the number of students that like STEAM area decreases. Even among students that finish high school in STEAM area, 15% don't choose STEAM higher education courses. The identified studies are divided into projects developed in engineering higher education institutions or in elementary, middle or high school. Projects developed in engineering higher education institutions intended to promote students' interest and commitment during their studies to prevent the dropout, and others intended to facilitate the entry into the labor market. In elementary, middle or high school, the projects intended to motivate students to choose STEM courses and promote interest in STEM subjects. Others wanted to promote girls' interest in STEM area, or to disclose what engineering is for and what engineering is in practice, and to motivate teachers, to motivate students to the STEM area. Here are some studies that we select. This study focused on increased girls' interest and confidence in science using aerospace science activities in elementary school to prevent that the change to middle school results in girls' disinterest. This other study concludes that male students report more interest in the future career in STEM, and that students attending out-of-school activities had a more positive attitude towards a career in STEM area. This study concludes that students who participate in STEM competitions are more likely to express interest in STEM-related career at the end of high school. And this study concludes that 2 years after having one STEM project at school, the levels of interest towards STEM careers were sustained, but the interest towards STEM subject was not. The possible reasons for this decrease could be due to the quality of teaching and learning that they experienced in the classroom. This study concludes that students consider they have no contact with engineering in high school, but they need to know the wide variety of jobs related to it, and to understand what is engineering about. This study identifies many factors that impact the course selection, like the student's perception of the course prestige, or the course difficulty, or the school reputation, or the existence of engineers in the family. We conclude that it is necessary to act in different school phases to prevent increases of interest in the STEAM area. To reduce the lack of interest in STEAM subjects, it is necessary to change the way they are taught, increasing their practical and active dimension. And it is necessary to increase students' contact with the practice of engineering to allow them to better understand the various professional options in engineering area. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Other questions or comments or thank you. Please.
Regarding the lack of interest or decreasing interest in, do you think that's more of a, is it because there's other subjects that are more interesting to people or more in a certain way promoted to them, or because there's something actively pushing them away from STEM subjects?
I think that the students don't like the way the STEAM subjects are taught in the classes. That is very theoretical, very lots of mathematics or physics, so in a very theoretical way. So they don't like it, because when they experience the practical experiences, they like it.
So the remote present would help, as we saw in the workshop. Are there more questions or comments? Or no? No, just one, because you mentioned gender. Is it also a reality in your case? One of the results was from your project from you. Is there a reality also for you?
Yes,
Gender?
electrical engineering, there are very few women.
Still.
Sometimes we don't have any female students in electrical engineering and design. It's very common.
That's why it was one of the catalysts to
Yes,
have this
yes.
study to understand. Thank you.
I think-
Oh, a question?
Also a comment on the female students thing, because there is a very interesting study being conducted by a research group in Leuven University in Belgium. I can talk to you after, but they are studying basically if students that are underrepresented in engineering schools, so in specific they are focusing on female students and students with migrant backgrounds, have higher dropout rates, and if that is related with them not feeling part of the school or, you know, feeling a bit rejected. So they're studying that. It's an ongoing study, and maybe it's interesting for you. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. If you don't mind, we skip, but we will then invite Julia because she will present two of the presentations in the end. So now, Antonio Andrade will present Reforming Doctoral Education through Immersive PhD Training Weeks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We put all the things correct here. And okay, so thank you everyone. So first, let me see if it's working. Okay, let me see if it works now. Okay, so welcome everyone to the University of Aveiro. I'm here, okay, presenting a little bit different work because this is not only about, we have seen about bachelor's and master's, I'm talking more about third cycle, more about PhD, and how to reform doctoral education. Okay, but before going there, and particularly to our friends that are foreign people, let me explain a little bit that I'm from a university, a very recent university, 50 years old, more or less. okay, and it's a public foundation, so it's a little bit different of other universities, and has one particularly, although this university has also, is that it has a metric structure. Okay, and these are some numbers of my university, although it's a recent university, well, in last years enlarged a lot, so we started like, 5,000 students, now we have more than 6,000 students, okay? Okay, but the University of Aveiro last years has really a new challenge. And this new challenge is particularly to stimulate the third cycle. We want to enhance the PhD training and also promote PhD in the job market. Together, today we talk about entrepreneurship and like that, and so we want also to create startups and things related to that. And so, in 2011, we have created one thing that we call doctoral school. Okay, the majority of universities now have this doctoral school, however, not all of them have a doctoral school. And this is important if you want to create particularly novel courses, not in one department, in multidisciplinary courses. And we want to contribute to excellency, also promote co-tutels, so it's the international part, and we want to promote cooperation with drug studies. But in my opinion, I see the doctoral school as a broker. Because here, the majority of my work is about consultation between different units. And particularly, being diplomacy between students and supervisors. Okay, also I'll do that. And I have also, in the doctoral school, we have a wide site for opportunities in the whole university. One of these opportunities is to create new doctoral programs. If we want to create this multidisciplinary program, this is really hard if you are in one department, okay, in one thematic. And so if you want a multidisciplinary program, okay, here it's important to have someone with an overwide view on that. Okay, and we're talking also about international program. Okay, here one of the programs that we have that is out of the box, it's what we call the DPI. DPI is a program that we have created recently. It's different because we were in a strict way with companies. Okay, so it's a solution for a company who want to have, to have research. However, they don't have the possibility of creating research inside their company. Okay, so they can create this research, this innovation inside the university, however, with the staff from the company. Okay, but I'm not creating this all alone, so I'm not the doctoral school of University of Aveiro. I have a huge team, okay, a really good team in the doctoral school. Okay, and we are going forward some kind of indicator and goals, and particularly to increase the quality in our university and particularly in internationalization. However, let me say that now, and my presentation is concerning problems. Because we have huge problems, recent problems. First one is that PhD programs are not really prepared for full-time workers. Come on, today our PhD, all PhD are prepared for, are prepared for people who are, exclusivity in PhD. Okay, all particularly, courses, units, subjects, and like that, they are done for that, not for full-time workers. Again, all PhD, what we do is that we are focused in scientific skills. Okay, come on, what we do generally is that we teach, or our students learn to do papers. Okay, but today, some years ago, that was natural, because we are teaching, or they are learning to be, teachers. High school teacher, okay, not high school teacher, about high education teacher. But this was some years ago. Now, PhD are not for that. We need to prepare our students for the labor market. Okay, because after PhD, they're going for companies. And so, what we need is also, we need to give them soft skills, okay, that are into the way of what companies want. Okay, but this problem that I'm talking about, this is not a new problem. I can tell you that some months ago, even in a paper from Nature, they told that PhD now needs to be reformed. Okay, so PhD training, what this title of this paper is in Nature says that PhD training is no longer fit for purpose. It needs reform now. And we had that problem. Again, let me highlight that the European University Association has auto-highlighted that, and this is really important, Transversal skills should not be seen as an add-on, but as a key element. Okay, so it was Gustavo that has made this. No. Okay, so okay. So this is really important. So our soft skills are really important now, but we don't have time because our PhD students generally they have 1 to 3 to 4 courses maximum, and these courses are important for PhD. And so we don't have time. And last years we have decreased the time for courses and subjects. Okay, we have decreased because what we are focused is papers about driving in research. Okay, so how to solve that? What we have done in the University of Aveiro is that we have created, although let me say that it is an innovation in Portugal, but these have already made some years ago in other institutions. So we have created what we call immersive weeks. These are weeks that we give soft skill to our PhD students. Okay, we teach also them to go for research design and paper writing. Okay, so what is this? These are 3 weeks that we invite our PhD students to be all together. So these are important also for networking, because today people from PhD and mechanical engineering generally they don't be with electrical engineering or others, so it's also good for networking. These are full immersive weeks, so they all come together. They all work from 8:39 to 8 from 9, and then we even have social program for that. And they also need they have deliverables. So these are all important. We can see an example of these immersive weeks. Okay, we have different programs. I think we can see, for example, some of the workshops. Some of them are related to soft skills, others are related to hard skills. Okay, and so we can see we have 3 immersive weeks in Aveiro. Let me say that one of them, particularly the first one, it's important to give the students that they need to have excellency, impact, and methodology also in their PhD. Is helping them to have a good thesis project. This is really important. And so we also talk about design thinking, that is really important. We talk about an impact plan, and we teach, about research design canvas. Okay, research design canvas, this is really important because they can fulfill, some shit like that is related to, about the problems, literature, research questions, things like that, and they discuss all together this. After this, for them, they will have a very good thesis proposal. The third immersive week is Research Summit. It's like a conference for our PhD. Okay, although this is not new for us in the University of Aveiro, we have more than 600 students, and they also have some abstracts like that. Okay, some communication. Okay, we have already in the last 2 years we have these immersive weeks. Okay, and so we can see the students' assessment about immersive weeks, and in generally the results are really good for that. Okay, and so in conclusion, let me say that this immersion can be a good strategy for the problems that we have today to concerning soft skills, concerning the decrease of courses and classes. However, I think we also have some way to improve here. And the way of, and this is the motivation of bringing you here. This problem is to discuss together, about how to solve these problems. And thank you, Barbara, for my
So much. Any questions, comments, please? Who's first?
Yeah, particularly for PhD students.
Short question. Very short question.
Yeah, please.
How long does it take in average a PhD with you?
Me or University of Aveiro? Okay, let me say that here our average is 5.2 years. And that's why one of the goals is to decrease that. Although this is really different between different thematics. This is not the number for engineering. Okay, for engineering it's 4 point something. I'm not sure. But in overall it's 5.2. Yeah, it's huge. Although, let me say that if you see the numbers from FCT, come on, this will be a nightmare. Please see the numbers from FCT.
I didn't say that was wrong or.
No, it's a nightmare in Portugal. This is really a nightmare.
Please, I think you're next.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how many courses have already started these immersive weeks.
Okay, we have already made 3 years of immersive weeks. We started with one course that it was DBI, but we extended these immersive weeks for all PhD. We have 52 doctoral programs in the University of Alva. And so all 52 doctoral students with all the students, I can say that we have 1,300 students, they were all invited to the immersive weeks.
Thank you, just,
I have a question about, I like very much your congratulations, your presentation and your proposal of doctorate. But I have a concern about the use or the importance for the labor market of this formation, you know. It's very important. I believe, and you believe, and probably all of them, but it's important the people of the labor market promote this kind of formation, you know, for, sorry, but my English is not.
No, it's perfect. I think you, okay, I think this question has two answers. First one is more about DBI, because DBI is a doctoral program particularly for companies,
Okay,
directly for companies.
okay.
Okay. For the whole other PhD, yeah, we are really, we have a lot of concern concerning that because, yeah, we have already received some feedback from the labor market that our students are, you know, library rats and they are not prepared for the job market. Okay? We have received that because in the doctoral school of University of Aveiro, we have a council and 1/3 of the council is people from the society. Okay, and they also gave this feedback. Okay, but this is feedback that also received internationally, like the paper we've saw from Nature. This is the difference. Now PhD don't go for universities; they go for society, general society. This changed.
Yeah.
thank you. And I have two colleagues, yes. Who's first, I'm not sure, but please.
It's a bit of an open question. I know you're here on the PhD side, but why only focus on soft skills in the PhD track? Why not in a bachelor or master level? Because those people also.
Do you want the real answer or a political one? The real one is because I'm in doctoral school. Okay, it's wrong. But the political now is that we are doing this work for bachelor, master, and PhD. Okay, but I think this work for masters and bachelor has started 5 years ago, something like that, or more, 6 years ago. I'm not sure, but for PhD, I think it's starting now.
Thank you. Yes,
It's
please.
just a
Thank
small question and it's related with the comment of our colleague about the DBI programs and the other programs.
Yeah.
Because we are preparing people to go to the labor market, yes?
Yeah,
So,
not the DBI, but yeah, the other, yeah.
yes.
Because DBI, they are already
They
in
are
companies.
They are already working.
They are staff from
But-
companies.
Okay, but my question is still the
Yeah,
same.
great.
For the other courses,
Yeah.
during these immersive weeks, do you have companies there in the workshops telling what they need, what they expect from their
Yeah.
students?
Receive that by the
Other-
doctoral school council.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. It's
because-
implemented already.
Let me say
Okay.
that we had 2 meetings with the doctoral school council
Okay.
just
For
related
this.
to that,
Okay.
and we have heard a lot of people, particularly from the companies, let me say not only from Portugal, because we have also Spanish people in our doctoral school council, and we had feedback concerning that, and we have also heard, a lot. You know, let me say that 1 week per year also in the University of Aveiro, we have one thing related to job market, but I think all the universities have universities and companies coming down.
Okay.
Sometimes we hear some criticism.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. One time, yes, for a quick question, please. Yaro.
For me, in my opinion, it was a great presentation, and I want to know what about assessment?
Okay, so first about assessment, we say about deliverables. Yeah, it's true. Different workshops and different deliverables. For example, let me give you an example. We had one workshop concerning graphical abstracts and how to do figures and tables. Okay? And the deliverable was to make the graphical abstract for the PhD. And they were evaluated, Okay, because you know they receive some rules, some basic rules, lots of people from design, okay, and then they have evaluated. So it's an example. Other, for example, I've shown before research design canvas. This is something that they must also deliver, and we evaluate this research design canvas. Okay, we evaluate and we give some feedback on that. Okay, the assessment then goes also directly to ECTS. Okay, so we use these immersive weeks also to give the student credits that can use in courses, what we call is optional courses. Optional in our life.
Thank you so much once again. I invite Julia. Julia Justino. She will be presenting two last presentations. And I would ask you to ask questions after the two presentations as we align with our colleagues. If you allow me, she will present. No. A five-step pedagogical design for engineering courses. Reviewed by Sylvia Rafael and Julia Justino. Then the next presentation came open for questions and answers in the end. Thank you, Julia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Barbara. As an academic teacher, at the beginning of each semester, I always ask myself these two questions. First, in engineering education, what pedagogical strategy should I use this year? And the second one, is there a pragmatic and systematic way of applying and developing pedagogical structure of an engineering course? This paper aims to contribute to answering these two questions by presenting the design of a five-step pedagogical framework based on prepared for the engineering educator's mindset. The research work of this engineering educational design was carried out by Sylviane Rafael and myself and Julie Justino. So after a brief presentation, the context of application of this research work will be presented, the five-step pedagogical framework will be shown step by step, the implementation of this pedagogical framework will be pointed out, and some conclusions will be made. Generation Z students entering now at university bring their unique characteristics and experiences to the academic setting. Generation G are young people born in a digital environment, used to getting answers and information very quickly, hyperconnected, communicative, more pragmatic with a strong social and environmental responsibility, needing dedicated activities and a new way of learning. It is a demanding challenge for engineering educators, teachers, whose technical scientific training shapes them into the typical engineering mindset to prepare future engineers to define or detect a problem, to research and produce solutions, to define and choose a solution, to implement and evaluate it, and to disseminate the results obtained. These mental habits are based on logic, pragmatism, innovation and visualization, resilience, analysis and communication skills, among others. If the goals,
Embaixo à esquerda tem que ser.
sorry, technical problems. the calls for changing attitudes or for applying a pedagogical approach more appropriated to the characteristics of Generation Z are not understood as a real problem in the thinking matrix of engineering mindset, everything remains unchanged, even when interesting training is provided to the end. So taking into account the characteristics of Generation Z and the thinking matrix and mindset of engineering educators, an effective pedagogical approach that addresses students' learning needs, promotes engagement, active participation, and the development of skills relevant to the contemporary world must be adopted. This is a consensus that the student-centered approach is too suitable for training Generation Z students. However, the challenge now is to produce an effective model of applying the student-centered multivariable pedagogical approach in a simple, pragmatic, complete, systematic way oriented toward the educator engineering thinking. A proposal for a complete and pragmatical pedagogical model to implement in engineering courses consisting of logical steps on the student-centered approach prepared for engineering educators is presented in 5 main pedagogical steps. These steps lead and support the fundamental actions for planning pedagogical structure of a course. The 5-step pedagogical framework is a technical tool for pedagogical reflection and didactic production that can become a powerful added value instrument for the teaching activity with adequate training, since its adaptability to different learning contexts will depend on the teacher's creative ability. Each step will now be presented in detail. Step 1. Setting the learning objectives. The learning objectives connect what students must be able to do, how will they do it, and when will they be evaluated about it. The setting of a core student's learning objectives must be a compass for teachers and a learning guiding map for students previously known by both. In order for the learning objectives to be clear and understood both by teacher and students, it is essential to use the SMART criteria, which means each learning objective must be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, and also the Bloom's taxonomy to set the level of depth and complexity of the cognitive domain that must be reached by students for each learning objective. Step 2. Setting content and assessment. The course material must be properly organized. This means that structured content, established with a logical sequence of learning milestones for supporting the learning objectives, must be prepared. In this step, the method of evaluation should also be defined, along with the instrument to be used and the grading of all the assessment activities duly aligned with the course's learning objectives and the available time frame for each learning objective. Step 3. Setting the teaching activities. In this step, the teaching activities carried out by the teacher during classes to foster the students' learning are established. In order to create significant impact on students, the teaching activities must be intentional, meaningful, and useful. Each learning activity should use diverse means of application, such as short-term exposure, demonstration with questions, content video analysis, case studies, discussion or debate on real situations, and task-oriented structure. This pedagogical step can be complex since it cannot simply depend on the teaching style of the teacher. In fact, creativity, specific teaching techniques, and suitable motivation must be considered for each learning objective to produce real impact on the student's learning. Step 4. Setting the learning activities. In this step, the learning activities developed by the teacher to be carried out by the students are established. But the relevant question is how to create learning activities with significant impact on students, how to design powerful learning experiences. Each learning activity in the course unit should be aligned with the learning objectives. This step of the pedagogical framework can be the most complex of all steps, since it depends on the practices of the teacher on active learning techniques, and it also depends on the soft skills to be worked in the context of synchronous and asynchronous classes. And finally, step 5, perform implementation and evaluation. After setting the previous 4 pedagogical steps to interconnect and align the learning objectives, the contents, the teaching activities, the learning activities, and assessment, the teaching planning of a course unit is now ready to be implemented. To do so, all the data produced along these steps and its didactic material should be available on a learning IT platform. After the implementation of the pedagogical framework, the activity of reflection and evaluation of the entire training process should be carried out. To ensure a good evaluation, it is necessary to have a good understanding of the pedagogical framework by aligning the evaluation process with the established guidelines, by attending training sessions to better understand the evaluation concepts, methods, and techniques, by using multiple measures in the evaluation process, employing a variety of qualitative and quantitative data collection methods, and by tracking mission data for maintaining data integrity and completeness in the evaluation. So in the year 2004, sets the beginning of some individual tasks within teaching and learning activities, leading to the 5-step pedagogical framework previously outlined in 2014, the date from which it was applied, tested, and adjusted in some pilot training courses at Polytechnic Institute of Stockholm. Since the academic year 2018, this 5-step pedagogical framework has been fully applied in various course units of engineering and technological degrees, namely electrical machines, fundamentals of mathematics, mathematical methods, industrial electronics and machinery, home automation, and electromechanical energy conversion. The receptiveness of the new Generation Z students on the application of this 5-step pedagogical framework has been positive so far, with technological device included. Students are fully embraced for who they are and develop a sense of positive identity and belonging. The success rate of all these course units increased more than 20%, and the dropout rate also experienced a reduction up to 15% when compared to the previous academic years. Moreover, on a personal level, the feeling of achievement and balance between the investment made in this pedagogical model, the students' expectation, and the results obtained was very rewarding. Some conclusions are: the implementation of student-centered approach is not easy to integrate into teaching activities without training and continuous support for an experienced work team with this pedagogical approach. The 5-step pedagogical framework is a systematic and pragmatic way to design all the structure of an engineering course, since the teacher focus is on learning students' quality during its performance on learning activities, providing an engineering educational toolbox to deal with various situations. Also, due to its pragmatic and flexible features, this pedagogical framework can embrace the new didactic technologies in teaching, learning, and assessment, the diverse active learning techniques, and the soft skills to be worked out, specific skills and competences outside professional environment, such as responsible citizenship and ethics. Finally, this 5-step engineering design must be continuously improved by adapting to the characteristics of the generations and by performing the evaluation of all the pedagogical activities carried out. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. As we mentioned, we will follow for the next presentation and then the questions for both presentations, if you agree. So thank you, Julia. And now the next presentation will be on designing a pedagogical framework for transnational training from Julia Justino, Fabiano Rafael, and Susana Lucas. So once again, the floor is yours. Thank you. There I go.
So, good afternoon again. This communication arose from the joint pedagogical research work conducted with my colleague Cispee in the context of a transnational pilot training coordinated by Polytechnic Institute of Setúbal through the leadership of Susana Lucas. So, after a brief introduction, the context of application of this research work will be presented, the pedagogical challenges encountered will be pointed out, the concept of pedagogical framework addressed, and the setting up of the pedagogical framework designed to support transnational training courses will be shown. In the end, some final remarks will be given. So one of the urgent needs of current employers in society is the decarbonization of buildings, within the challenge of the European Union for 2050 to decarbonize the economy. Nowadays, the concept of sustainability in construction has been extended to health and well-being, as the need to create healthy building environments is becoming increasingly present. However, construction 2015 have other challenges, like the use of circular economy, in addition to minimizing the consumption of resources. Future professionals in these areas who interconnect different areas of knowledge will have different employment opportunities. So the need to provide suitable and adequate training for these future professionals is a big challenge for higher education institutions. In this context, the European project Build 2050 arises as an integrated and transnational pilot training to respond to the emerging challenges at the European level in the different areas of construction, renovation, healthy and sustainable buildings. Building 2050 is a 3-year European pilot training project promoted by Erasmus Plus from February 2022 to January 2025, in which 8 training courses are developed by Polytechnic Institute of Setúbal, IPS from Portugal, University of Bologna, UNIDI from Italy, Warsaw University of Life Science, SGGW from Poland, National and Composition University of Athens and Cuba from Greece, and Polytechnic University of Milan, Poligny, also from Italy, as shown in this map. Each one of these training courses are led by as follows. Course 1, Innovative and Transnational Technologies Applied to Build 2050, led by IPS. Course 2, Zero Energy and Positive Energy Buildings Towards the Full Decarbonization, led by NCUA. Course 3, Circular Water Management in Buildings, led by IPS. Course 4, Innovative Construction Materials, led by UNIBO. Course 5, Digitization of Buildings, led by Polymy. Course 6, Sustainable, Healthy and Regenerative Construction, led by UNIBO. Course 7, Circular Economy and LCA Methodology Applied to Construction, led by SGGW. And Course 8, Innovative Business Models Based on Circular Economy in Construction, led by NCUA. These training courses are taught sequentially, with a logical content sequence and 25 attendance hours each, 5 hours per week, and the students attending these courses are graduates or professionals of architecture, physics, environmental engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, or power engineering from the countries of the academic institutions pointed out. The 8 training courses of Project Build 2050 have some specific characteristics which stands as real pedagogical challenges. Challenge number 1, different educational institutions. The training courses are developed and taught by 5 different higher education institutions across 4 countries. This means different time zones, different native languages, and different school calendars. Also, different pedagogical cultures have to be combined to generate a unique pedagogical strategy supported by blended learning, since in each training course there are students attending face-to-face and simultaneously students attending remotely. Challenge number 2, transnational teachers. Each training course is taught by various engineering teachers from different academic institutions. This means that teachers with different pedagogical backgrounds and mindsets who probably have never worked together have to collaborate to find a mutual teaching path. challenge number 3, transnational students. Each training course is attended by students from different academic institutions and areas of knowledge. This means that students with different background knowledge and experience, transversal skills and technical language will carry out the same learning activities in order to achieve the learning objectives of the training course. And finally, challenge number 4, synchronous and asynchronous classes. Each training course has a total duration of 25 hours, distributed by 5 hours per week, a 3-hour class in synchronous mode and a 2-hour class in asynchronous mode. This means that the course teaching and learning activities and all the didactic resources must take into account these 2 learning modes. So the pedagogical framework of Project Build 2050 was developed taking into account all the pedagogical challenges previously addressed and the references given by the European Work Group on Learning and Teaching. In this context, the student-centered approach was a teaching-learning method chosen based on the expansion of the pedagogical alignment and upgrading of the BIG's constructive alignment. This was motivated by the fact that constructive alignment only considers the learning outcomes, the learning activities, and assessment, not taking into account several other pedagogical elements that are used in the teaching-learning process. In the expansion of the pedagogical alignment, each one of the 3 pillars of BIG's constructive alignment is extended for more 2 pedagogical items. In particular, the learning outcomes are supported by Bloom's taxonomy and by contents. Also, the learning activities are supported by the teaching techniques and by didactic resources. And moreover, assessment is supported by evaluation scope, what is monitored or evaluated, and by evaluation type, how the evaluation is carried out. So the expansion of the pedagogical alignment is an instrument that allows to set up the pedagogical framework of a training course tailored to its requirements and aiming at technical, scientific, and behavioral skills simultaneously. This development can be conducted in a context of outside and inside the classroom in both synchronous and asynchronous modes. The pedagogical framework of Project Build 2050 was developed over 7 months, from July 2022 to January 2023, based on the expansion of the pedagogical alignment previously presented and supporting all teaching and learning activities aligned with the course's learning objectives. To this end, the 8 training leaders, with the support of their teams, firstly had to set the learning objectives of each training course, considering the available time frame and the level of knowledge intended. Afterwards, the content supporting the learning objectives and the assessment elements for each learning objective were chosen. The next stage was to establish the teaching and learning activity, along with the active learning techniques to be applied. And finally, the development of the didactic resources to be applied was carried out. Since the training courses of Project Build 2050 have face-to-face students and students attending classes remotely in both synchronous and asynchronous modes, all the courses' didactic resources have to be digital with the support of IE tools. In this context, the platform communication chosen was for synchronous activities was NS Teams, and the learning platform chosen for asynchronous activities was Moodle. During this process, the active learning techniques planned by the course leaders to be applied over the 8 training courses were challenge-based learning, problem-based learning, interviews, role-playing, video presentation, cooperative group, group evaluation, reflection about content focus, roundtable discussion, think and share, and self-assessment. Some of these active learning techniques were applied in several training courses, but in different contexts. And the application of these learning activities contributes to the development of a set of soft skills needed for the job market. In particular, the top 10 skills of 2025 highlighted by the World Economic Forum, while at the same time developing the course's technical scientific skills in classes. So final remarks. Designing a suitable pedagogical framework for transnational training courses is a big challenge. To perform this design before classes begin plays a major unifying role by imposing the necessary discipline to integrate and align different training courses into the same transnational training project, and also acts as a training guideline for teachers and for students. And finally, the application of active learning techniques during classes allows the development of soft skills needed for the job market in addition to the technical scientific skills, which stands as an innovative pedagogical strategy in engineering trainings. So thank you for your attention, and if you can't have any questions, now is free to ask.
So now it's time for questions. Please, are there questions, comments? Neil, please.
A quick question, Julia. You mentioned video presentations. I imagine that was video presentations by the educators.
No,
So
but on students as a learning activity.
what the
was
students made the video.
Yeah, and
Right,
that
that's what
was
I'm asking.
one of the assessment elements for them to get their grade. It depends on the learning target they have to reach, but yes. So there was some video presentations by the educators. Most of them were interviews in companies or in constructive areas of knowledge from the stakeholders. But most of the presentations were made by a group of students for their evaluation.
Thank you. More questions? I have two. One
Okay.
for you allow me, or three? No. One, first of all, from the first presentation. You mentioned that the most challenging step was step 4, if I'm not wrong, learning activities 1. You didn't explore, you don't
Yeah.
define, of course.
Yes,
Why? What you identified as the most challenging?
because most teachers are not used to this kind of active learning strategies. They see as teaching activities, most of them has exposure. Right? But then if the students have learning objectives, they have to reach them, and this is online. If you have several primary students, you have to think specific active learning techniques to be implemented. And you have more than 200 active learning techniques in the literature, more than 200. And for a teacher who is not used to it, they have to choose, I have this and this and this, what is most suitable active learning technique. It's like, it's an open world. You just open a window and say, wow, I was only used to doing this and this for the last 10 years, and now I have a whole things that I'm not used to. What am I going to choose?
So you have training during this
We are the
process. Yes,
pedagogical trainers. Yeah.
Okay.
For the course leaders, they have to set meetings with their teams, and we just give them guidelines. You have until to this deadline. You have to do this. You have to choose, to negotiate. It's very hard for a course leader to negotiate because everyone wants to put their topics. And you think, no, you only have 25 hours. We're not going to build a master. We're going to build only a 25 course. So that was one of our main difficulties because everyone wants to teach what they know. It's not possible. It's very important the position of the leader. They have to be very specific about what students must be able to do because it's not possible to teach everything. You have to choose what is really important.
That's why it's so hard.
Yeah, that's why
it's challenging. And the
Yes.
second is related to the resistance because it's time consuming in talking about the second presentation.
Yes.
It's time consuming. Is there some resistance? Is it English as well?
Yes.
Also,
Everything.
yeah, it's optional. So is there some impact since it's in English and because it's time consuming? Because we do this beyond our classes and beyond our roles. So how do you manage that to have the
Time
teachers?
for that?
Yes, and the teachers.
Well, this is a finance
deliver the
project, so we are not finance for that. We are doing this pedagogical guideline just for passion.
Exactly. That's
Because it's a new project, you learn a lot, because some things we are going to test it, we are already, because on the first presentation, we tried and tested the 5 pedagogical step work in classical classes, presential, show with our students, not in this kind of project. And we had to adapt it to this kind of conditions that are completely different. And I think the teachers that are teaching, talking the courses are paid for that. We are not, but they are serving. And it's innovation also, because it's an international project and they want to see how it goes.
But passion driven as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Are there more comments? Please,
So
just
you
the last one, if you don't mind. Just
Okay.
Thank you.
So, congratulations for the presentation, the work done, and all the things that you described here. So, you described, if I understood correctly, the point of view of the teachers. Or the
One presentation, this one or the other?
Well, I don't know. The previous one you mentioned something
It's for
about
the teachers.
the teachers.
It's a model, it's a pedagogical model for engineering thinking, because we have, in our institution, we have a lot of pedagogical trainings, but they are taught by people from education. It's perfect, but their mindsets are different from our mindsets. They have a very theoretical background, very good, very strong. But what happens with, I see my colleagues from engineering, they go to that training pedagogical and they just say, I cannot apply anything of that in my classes. They are too theoretical. I need something practical, systematic. So that's what we try to do. We give experience of our classes.
And you think that the students are, knowledge that changing the teachers?
The students see the difference before
Yes.
this kind of pedagogical. Yeah, you see, because we think better should be to implement this in all the course units of training course. In mathematics I have experience because I applied this in a course that it's all structured in PBL. And the success rate is completely different because all the course units are working, for the same thing, and the students don't see the difference. But in other courses, technological engineering courses, when in mathematics I'm the only one who's trying to put them in the collaborative work, but then they go to the next class where it's traditional. It's like they forgot it. They see a lot of difference. They say, I just stay 2 hours, listen to blah blah blah. I don't do anything. I'm at the phone. I like the teacher talk. I'm at the phone. They don't have hands-on. They see a lot of difference.
Thank you. Our own time. Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you for all the speakers for this session. And once again, I give the floor to André Silva, the next chair for the next session.
Grazie.